I was living a life of sin, and then the divine stepped on in, and now I feel saved. Hello, guys. So this is Go Through It to Grow Through It, life coaching with friends, the shaman. Today, I'm going to be sharing a specific story that I went through. It was in a narcissistic relationship where I faced multiple levels of abuse. But today, I'm going to be speaking about certain topics that I feel like would be very helpful for me to share for other people who are in domestic violence relationships or are in manipulative relationships where they don't necessarily know how to recognize the signs. And now they are at this place where they're ready to start to see what is going on in their life so they can start to take the necessary steps to heal. So the first place I would like to move into is our arguments. So our arguments were very toxic. They were very explosive. Many of the arguments that we did get into were unprovoked on my behalf. A lot of times it would be just very cold behavior or just, different things like that where I would go and I would try to ask him, what's the problem? What's going on? You understand? So we can try to find a middle ground as to how we can solve things. I was always in a constant state of trying to fix things, solve them, and get them back in order. He would be relentless in these arguments where he would say like very harsh, mean things to me, where it's kind of like, there's a saying I like to say, the devil whispers in a weak man's ear and they follow. So it kind of felt like something was asking him, what is the worst thing you could possibly say to her, And he would say them to me, and he would push and push and push until, he got an emotional reaction out of me. And it was like when he would get these emotional reactions out of me, he would get like a dead look in his face and he would just stare at me and then keep going like, okay, that, and then dig off that specific topic, like until like I was hurt. I used to just ask him like, you don't see I'm already crying, why won't you stop? And like he didn't. And it kind of felt to me like this was like the beginning stages of dealing with like a sociopath, because he had no emotional response or no remorse or empathy to like my pain that I was going through. He just was in this place where he would just continuously just dig into what it was that he was saying to me. And I started to recognize that certain patterns would start to happen. Like he would do something to pick a fight with me and then leave. So I started to be like, okay, I'm feeling like you picking fights on purpose so you can go out and go do your dirt, which is something that actually was the truth. But at the time, it was more so my intuition trying to tell me rather than me knowing this for a fact like I do at this very point in my life. I had to start to ask myself, like, why is it that I'm fighting for this connection that is only bringing hell into my life, Every single day, I woke up and I would give him a fresh, clean slate. I would go look for him. I would be loving. And it's like everything that happened the day before was forgiven. Like I forgave it because I wanted us to work. So I continuously sewed myself into that situation to see how we can fix it. But, after we broke up, I had to really just kind of ask myself, is this what I think that I deserve? You understand? Like, or, why is it that I think that this is the love that I deserve if I wake up every day and I sow love into this connection and this person only sows hurt into it? So after we would get into fights, it would be the whole build up and breakdown process where one or two things would happen. Either he would play victim in the fight itself and he would walk away and play mad and wouldn't talk to me or play like his feelings are hurt. And even if he started it, if he was in the wrong, no matter what, if he was in the wrong especially, he would play victim, real victim, to the point it's like he doesn't want to talk to me, nothing. And I would just be like, after we separate from each other and we go in different rooms or so because we live together, I would go to him and be like, well, can we talk about this again? And then we would sit and talk, and then he would, cry, or he would, I'm so sorry. I could try to do it differently. I just didn't know. He would tell me the story. Like, I know many women have been faced with, if I never been in a relationship like this. I've only been in relationships with women who didn't know how to love me. So now that I'm with you, I just don't know. So I don't know. He would play the I don't know card multiple times. So I fell into the trap of that. I had to ask myself why, again, like, why is it that I'm dealing with this? Why is it that I'm putting up with this? I had to take a level of accountability in that. And I was able to pinpoint that it stemmed from a childhood of mine where I had parents who were very abusive and narcissistic. And every single day I would come home from school and run up to them and ask them, how was your day? And they used to be like, work was work. Like, they wouldn't want to talk to me or deal with me. So it instilled in me this love language where it's like I pour and I pour and I pour, and even if you don't want me, I still pour. And it trickled into my love life. So that's why life sent me that mirror to kind of wake me up. Our day-to-day relationship was mostly filled with misery. Like, when I think back on it, while I was in the midst of the relationship, I felt like, oh, this is love. I love this person. I want to be with them. But when I take a step back to think about how every day was, it was every day of me being degraded, taken advantage of. He didn't talk to me. He didn't spend time with me. He would legitimately say, like, oh, when I had my exes, I used to buy them flowers all the time and do sweet things for them. I did it for them, and they took advantage of it. So I don't think I'm gonna do it for you. Like, literally would just put in my face things he did for, other people, and that I didn't deserve it. And I accepted that. So if I'm accepting that, it's kind of like I had to get to this mindset within myself. Like, what is going on subconsciously with me that I accepted that type of behavior, I kind of feel like being in that relationship with him was worse than the childhood that I had. If any of you guys look at my page, my TikTok page, you'll be able to see me speak about my upbringing a little bit and how I had very abusive parents who neglected me. And I had a very tough childhood. And it's kind of like that relationship was what I went through as a child triggered times 10, but it definitely was the thing that pushed me into this path that I am in now. I felt like when I was in that relationship that I was in like a spiritual assassination. Like, this person was literally trying to assassinate my heart. I would have anxiety attacks. And like I said, he would like trigger me to that point where it's like I'm having a full-blown anxiety, like literally like on the floor, can't breathe, because he just, like, what he's saying to me, I can't believe this person that I love so much is hurting me like this. And he would just like look at it with like a smirk and like a dead look in his eyes, like he was like feeding off of me hurting. Like, it was a very sick thing to go through, and to just see in the eyes of someone I love how they would not have, like, it was no remorse. Like, he was infatuated with seeing me in pain. Like I said before, it was very unprovoked, a lot of the things that, that he put me through. So, like I said, I had to ask myself how it is that I deserve to be cheated. Oh God, how I deserve to be treated. And this was something that I did after we broke up. And I went on like this whole this whole list with myself where I compartmentalized the things that were important to me and the things that were not important to me, and what it is I accepted and what it is I should not have accepted. and really just had to take a moment for myself and say, like, you know, I do deserve love. I do deserve to be cared for. I don't deserve to be cheated on. I don't deserve to be lied to. But it is something that I did put up for once. You know, it gave me this level of compassion for multiple women, because there are so many of us who step into these relationships where we get gaslit and manipulated and we hurt, and many people don't heal from it. And I'm grateful that I was able to, you know, tap in with divine and be able to move myself forward on my healing journey. There were many parts of this relationship where I can say that I was taken for granted. You know, I helped this person with everything. There is a significant age gap between us. He is 10 plus years older than me. And I came in first thinking that I had help. Previously on my page, I've shared how, you know, I've been on my own since my teenage years. And getting involved with this person, it felt like, oh wow, I finally have help. You understand? So I was so grateful to have this person in my life. But it quickly changed from him acting, I have to put that out there, like he knew what was going on, to him actually needing to be taken care of, down to like the T, like down to basic things that I had picked up along the way just from being on my own. I had to learn and teach him, and then go and learn a whole new ballpark of the things that came along with the responsibilities of having him in my life at that point in time. Things started between us very quickly. We knew each other for about 3 years. He met me when I was 18 years old. Like I said, he's significantly older than me. And he lied about his age when we got together. Let me put that out there. He told me he was about 10 years younger than what he actually was. And no, like 12 or 13 years younger than that, he told me. And, you know, when we got together, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this terminology, love bombing. I was love bombed. And like I said, I've been on my own for so long that it's kind of like, when I got somebody who came into my life, and he spent every day with me from our first date. Like, we went on our first date, and he came to see me every single day after that. Like, whether it was to bring me lunch at work, or to just go for a car ride with me, or just go walk in the park with me. Just, you know, he became like my shadow. He'd be like, you know, I don't really mind what you have to do today. I just want to be around you. I just love being around you. And it made me feel really good. It made me feel really loved. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like this is love. Like, you know, I'm not recognizing that I was refilling a void within myself that I felt like I didn't get from my parents, like with this relationship. And with him, he was trauma bonding me. You know, like I said, there's always two sides to a story, but it's important for us to recognize that it is two sides of the same exact coin. I feel like that is the reason why I held on to that relationship for so long, because it was the first time in my life that I had somebody come in and really give me what it is I felt like I didn't have. A lot of it stems from my father wounds. I grew up in a household with my father and my stepmom for about 10 years of my life. And before things got to an abusive point, before I moved in with my father, when I still was living previously with my mother, my dad and I were like best friends. He loved me, you know what I'm saying? He would come pick me up, we would hang out, we'd crack jokes. He treated me like I was like his favorite person in the whole world. And then once I became like a responsibility for him, he just dead. Like, it was nothing. He hated me then, he beat on me, he did everything. Like, he just didn't care for me at all anymore. So it left my inner child with feeling like, dang, like, why you don't love me no more, you know? So while in this relationship, when I said it started off love bombing, it was a complete mirror effect of what it is I went through as a child. Like, he loved me, he was here every single day, till boom, treated me like the scum on the bottom of his shoes, like just abusing me as well, you know? Like, it just re-triggered everything. But when I went on my own as a teenager, I was so submerged in my trauma without recognizing I was. So it's unfortunate that I did go through what I went through, but it made me heal what it was that I went through as a child. Like, without that situation, I don't know if I would have ever went back and looked at those pieces of myself that were broken from the home that I grew up in. a lot of our relationship was him hiding things. And the way that spirit works is like sometimes we get into these relationships where we feel like our partner is cheating on us, but we can never find proof. But we always find little things that give us those inklings that they're cheating, right? And this was ultimately how things were for me. And I can tell that this was spirit trying to build my intuition. He used to be like, you think you Inspector Gadget? Because I used to find little stuff like, not even little stuff, big stuff. But when you find something out, or your intuition is telling you something about somebody, believe it. Like when you go to this person and you try to talk to them about what your intuition has already confirmed for you, once you found what you found, it opens up a door for them to manipulate you. Like you could be gaslit, and that's what would happen. I'd be like, what is this? And I would give him a chance to explain it to me. And the way he would explain it would make sense in his made-up story. Like, it would make so much sense. But it's like everything in me is screaming that this is not right. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I would allow myself to be gaslit by the situation. So I just know that the way that happened, spirit, the way that they handled it with me was to build my intuition. Now I have a very strong intuition. And it's kind of like without that is what I have. Everything for me now is kind of like without that, would I be who I am now? I can say that I finally got free from that relationship when I finally stopped searching. When I just was like, you know what? I'm about to just start building on myself. Like I got into like an online school and I started to just work on myself. At this point in time, he was coming home whenever he wanted. He was leaving. I stopped arguing with him. I just kind of felt it and confirmed it in my spirit and was like, I'm done building into this. And that's like right when I did that, and I was doing that for a couple weeks, within days, like spirit came and like led me to what it was I needed to find to put hard proof on this person that they cheated. You understand? And that they were not only cheating, but actually in an entire relationship on the side of us. Like, it was like, boom. Like, as soon as I let go, that's when spirit gave me what I was looking for, the entire relationship. But it was because I trusted myself first. So when we get in those relationships with people that are cheating on us, it's literally to build our intuition. And it was very hard for me to accept the fact that that relationship was over, because I built so much into that relationship. You know, we spoke about marriage a couple times, and I did want to marry this person, but I knew that they weren't yet who I needed them to be in order to marry them. So I was holding off, but I still was setting us up in a way and building our future in a way where we could get married when that person was ready too. I still had this mentality that I should be waiting for a man or teaching a man or helping him grow into what it is I need, instead of thinking that I am who I am. This is what comes along with me, and I deserve a mirror to that. I deserve a man that's already there and that's already looking for what it is that I'm looking for, rather than trying to build someone who is not there into what I need, you know? And it's crazy because it's kind of like I had to think about the fact that everything that I built, you know, it was an inevitable ending, because it had such a shaky foundation due to all the things that happened between us. And then to accept that the reason the foundation was shaky was because of the person I was trying to build the future with. Like, they threw the rocks at the foundation. So it was hard for me to really just sit there and accept, like, okay, this is over and this is the person that I was dealing with. And at that point in time in our relationship, like when we first started dating, we both had jobs, right? And then we both had jobs, right? And when we got together, he lost his job. And then, sorry, that threw me off a little bit. We got together, he lost his job. And then I was still working, so I started to take care of us, and all of our finances became one. Then with dealing with the relationship, he finally started working again, and this is when we were living with each other. And he did so much lying and cognitive dissonance and stressing me out. I was having anxiety. I was going through a lot where I couldn't mentally work anymore. Like, it was too much for me to take. And then he was like, I'll take care of things. You don't seem like you're doing too well. Let me take care of you because you took care of me. And then the finances were already merged from when I was taking care of all of the bills, and then now I went to him being the breadwinner, so he now is in control of our finances. So walking away from that relationship was not an easy thing. You understand? Like, it was something that was very hard for me to do. It was very hard for me to get out of. And when I left, I looked at it as such a punishment because I left with literally 2 bags, what I can carry. Everything that I walked into that relationship with, everything that I acquired, everything that I built by myself, he kept. You understand? And it was very hard. And a lot of women I know they struggle with leaving because they don't have the finances. But literally, when I let go and I started walking with my ancestors, divine and God, and just, you understand, like, just, I trust y'all, I'm gonna walk away, I trust, and I'm gonna start believing in myself. At the time, I felt like it was such a loss, but now that I am where I am now, I look at it as such a win. Like, I gained everything the moment I let go of all of that stuff. You understand? Like, I'm very happy that I was able to walk away. And a lot of times when you get into relationships like that and they have a level of codependency, it's an addiction that forms. Like, toxic relationships can literally produce the same chemicals in your brain as having an addiction to a substance. So walking away from that, not only did I lose everything, I lost the person that was, I was kind of addicted to, because when you have somebody that's constantly building you up and breaking you down, building you up, breaking you down, it produces a chemical in your brain that you can start to be addicted to. That's why when you see women in abusive relationships, it's kind of like, well, why won't she leave? It's literally something else that's going on with that relationship psychologically. And, that's where I was. So when he was in control of our finances, he would say things to guilt trip me out of being able to spread the money out the way that I wanted to. Like, what he would do is he had me responsible for paying all of the bills. Like, he was making the money, but I was the one who had to go and pay it. And anytime there was something left over every single week, he's like, well, I'm the one that's working. I just want this little thing for myself. Like, he would specifically kind of like, I don't know if he was like looking up how much money we would have left or what it was, and then go and ask or like, set it up so that he can pay for something he wanted, whether it was jewelry or just anything he wanted, so that any money that was left over outside of paying for bills went straight to him. And then he threw it on to, well, I feel as though I can't save money. I feel like you're taking advantage of me. So then it got to a point where I didn't ask for anything anymore. Like, all the money that came into the house just went to bills and to his wants, you understand, and his needs. So I wasn't able to no longer take care of myself. Like, I lost 97 pounds in that relationship. Literally 97 pounds. I was 217 pounds. Like, literally, I lost 97 pounds in that relationship. All of my hair fell out. I just wasn't able to take care of myself at all. I wasn't able to, just do the things for myself that I used to do. And, I don't like to go back and really compare it to this, but when I was taking care of things, I was also taking care of his needs, but his wants. You need a haircut, getting his haircut. You need your car washed, washing his car. Like, things to make him happy. But for me, even down to the things I needed, all of my clothes had holes in it. I only had summer clothes, so it was winter time. I didn't have any clothes to wear. Like, it just was so many things I needed, and I was not able to take care of myself. And he just kind of like guilt tripped me into, becoming that woman that wasn't able to do for herself in that way. So it's kind of like I felt like this person was everything I wanted to be, because I was so addicted to how things started. Just the initial me seeing that he could be that loving person and somebody who was attentive to me was all that I ever wanted, and that he took that back, and it really bothered me. Now at this moment in my life, I recognize that I am the person to be able to give me that now, because I was giving so much, not recognizing that I needed all that I was giving out. And now I am this person who gives that to myself now, and it's the most beautiful thing. But when I was in that situation and it was time for me to leave, it was like I was literally choosing between the devil and my happiness and my freedom, and I was literally weighing out the options, like I don't know which way to go. And and it's like, when I look back on it, it's like, wow, like that's crazy to have even gotten that so far gone mentally, that I am down almost 100 pounds. My hair is fall out. I have no clothes to take care of myself. I have like one pair of shoes. I have like and he's buying jewelry. He's like, oh, one other money tactic. Like he, like he would go buy things on credit. And then when his money came around, oh, I have to go pay this. So even if there was extra money left over for me to be able to do, they would already be owed somewhere else. Like it was like nothing for me. It just was a lot to go through. I really feel like that relationship in itself was like a spiritual attack, like on who I am. Because I'm a lover. Like I took care of, I don't even like to, I'm not that person, so I won't sit and be like, I did this and this and this and this, because I did it from the kindness of my heart. But I just do so much for those that I love, and I was the type that I just accepted that, and I no longer accept that. Walking away from that relationship woke me the heck up, and it gave me all of the necessary boundaries that I need for me to be able to be a healthy adult, where now it's like I don't have anybody around me who can't sew into me the same way that I sewed into them. But before that relationship, everybody who was around me was benefiting off of me. I was helping every single body. And it's like when I finally let go, it pushed me into this point where I actually had to realize and take accountability for how much I didn't love myself, for how much I ignored and I let slide and I forgave. It's kind of like the worst thing was forgiving myself was the last thing that I did. Like I forgave this person and all other parties he slept with and cheated on me with. Some of them I even knew. Some of them were my friends, quote unquote, that I was taking care of too. And I forgave all of them, but it was like this. I was angry at myself because every single time I forgave, I was telling myself I deserved this. So it was like, now that it was over and I looked at how much pain I was in, I was like, I'm accountable for what I'm feeling right now. And I was just so angry at myself because it was like, dang, like I did this. You understand? Like the condition my heart was in, I didn't know that I could heal the way that I'm healed right now. I'm so grateful to God. I'm so grateful to the divine because they helped me. But it's the thing that pushed me to them, because without that, the way that I was living my life, I don't know how I would have found them. I was hurt so bad that the only way I could heal was to seek divine, And and like when I look back now on all of the different women that popped up and how many times I confronted him over different situations, I used to be so angry. Like, why is this happening? Why would y'all do this to me? Or why, you understand, without recognizing like I do now, every single time that happened, that was a chance for me to free myself. It wasn't until the last situation that we walked into that I took control of that situation and I walked away. And I wasn't even angry at the last woman, because I'm like, the one that he was in another relationship with, it wasn't even just somebody he was messing with. He got into a relationship with this woman. I'm so grateful for her, because if she would have never did what she did, and she never would have popped up with a baby and popped up how she popped up, I probably never would have walked away. So I'm not even angry at her, because she is a part of the reason why I was able to get set free. And like, it's like in that moment we can be so angry, but I'm so grateful for that. Because I recognize it's like, he ain't gonna change. Now the weight is off of me. Divine let me wiggle on out of that situation, And it's kind of like the person who he went back to, You know what? I'm actually gonna end that right then, right there. I'm gonna come back on live in a little while, and I will get into discussing that. So I hope that this helped you guys. I hope that you guys like to hear my story, and that is sown a seed of healing for you all. I'm gonna be doing this in, I think, 3 or 4 different segments. So hopefully you guys come back and watch the rest. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for listening. Bye.